Happy Friday, everybody. Today is Friday, July 18th, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. This is our Friday call where we spend an hour reviewing what was shipped this week, talking about our goals for next week, and making sure that we are on track for our Q3 goals. Starting off how we always do. Sid, in one word, how you feeling today? In one sentence, what do you need today?
Today I'm feeling nice. Today I need uh, I think I need a little bit of clarity on how you're feeling.
Okay. I'm feeling oversubscribed and a story. Oversubscribed. And I need I think reflection on goals. How are we doing quantitatively? Reflection on goals. Coming into this, are there any places that you would like to start?
Let's start with that then. What you need. You said reflection on quantitatively quantitative goals. All right, so
Yeah.
let's top level. Let me pull up
I
my.
wanted 45 survey users, 10 power users, 1 enterprise subscriber at 5K a month, and success metrics for all new features. Within this week, we had said we wanted YouTube accounts connected to grow from 5 to 7. And on the segment side, get to 11 humans with scheduled segment actions and 77 actions scheduled total.
So let me pull up. Why is that saying no? Oh, let's do last 3 months. Let's see. Give me a second. Localhost. For some reason, the production version is not showing me the same information. So I'm going to do this, share entire screen. All right, let's do this. So all right, here we go. So that's loading the data. Right now we are at
to 12 months to get this week's goals.
Wait, say again. What'd you say?
I think in order to get the actual this week's goals, we got to change it to 12 months.
We get 12 months.
That way segment actions and YouTube connections shows accurately.
Cool. So YouTube connections is still at 5. Or no, I think it might have been up to 6. Let me see.
Yeah, it's still loading your data.
Yeah.
But I saw a higher number yesterday, so I'm confused as to why the number went down. Let me check prod. Is this what happens when we continue to vibe code?
Yes, exactly. And not enough refactoring of the vibe code. Like it's still
Yesterday,
saying.
I'd seen 15 scheduled actions and 11 users yesterday, and now it's gone down to 14. So for some reason, the numbers are going down, or they're not staying consistent. YouTube actions, we've seen at 5. I've not seen that change.
Scheduled actions. I can tell you exactly what happened. Why it was up to 15 yesterday. It was because I added a video editor, or I'm testing out a video editor, and she did a segmented action, and so I added her to the the test, the emails today. I just noticed that. So this one was was counted as a user, but it's actually just an editor that is not an actual user.
Okay, so it's accurate.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
So
But the
YouTube
one thing,
connection did not change. Scheduled actions went up by 2. Humans, we didn't have that tracked until I think yesterday, so it has not changed since yesterday, but I don't know if it changed throughout the week.
yeah, but we can see 10 users. Yeah, 7, 3, and then YouTube connections, 1 connection, 5 users.
Mhm.
And then over our overall goal, which was this quarter, to have 40, 45, I believe, product market fit survey ready, and we're at 20.
For these
And
numbers, do we want to change it to 3 months?
good call.
I don't know how it's your
No,
dashboard.
it's a good call. Although I don't think this is going to change. I think this is just like this is always just at the moment. How many PMS survey ready users? Okay, but yeah, here we are, 20, and then 0 power users. But this keeps going back and forth, so I might want to rethink this like specific number, because one day sometimes it's up to 1, sometimes it's back to 0, depending on like what day of the week we are and if it's a weekend and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna rethink that, but like keep it still high, but maybe rethink that. But either way, we're going up on PMF since last. Well, this is last 3 months. Let's see where we're at last 7 days actually. No, this is since yesterday, so it's going up since the other day. The weekly active is going down.
I know you had made some of these to try to not. You had said you had intentionally tried to make some of them so that it makes you feel emotionally lower. And if this is how we're judging our success, I would argue the goal is not to have how we feel, but to have the most clear representation of reality. And whether we're trying to skew the numbers one way or another emotionally, in either case, it is not allowing us to see a clear representation of reality.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because like if you see here, power users over the last 7 days, we have 1. We're probably not going to see any power users if we do it by last 30 and or at least last 3 months, because like that requires somebody to be using the product 70% of the last 3 months.
Which is quite a lot.
Exactly.
Probably more than you and I might be the only 2 people in there, if at all.
Correct. So that's a tough. So yeah, that's why I want to rethink this power users one. And
Cool.
yeah, we should probably think through it together, since you're on the KR of the 10 power users. So like decide what do you think defines a power user, and what's the time period that we should be tracking it over. Should we be able to define power users by time period, and they change depending on that, or should these two kind of just be consistent with like the same time period?
Yeah, I think your drop down should be moved to your below this just for your active users trend. I think maybe reorganize this to make user leaderboard up top. Make your drop down only apply to the users trend graph, and then lower down the conversations. But allow the metrics that we're trying to track on a quarterly basis to not be changed by your drop down.
Yeah, gotcha. And then just define what we define as a power user over this quarter instead of time based.
Yeah. Yeah, have power user not be something that gets changed by a drop down. That way we can more accurately assess it on the time period that we find it important on.
Okay, cool. Any thoughts on what you would define as a power user? Do you want to like take a week and think on it and reflect?
What'd you write in the Notion doc?
In the Notion doc, I
Can you
followed
pull it
this,
up?
which is daily, 10 messages per day if it's filtered by daily, or active 5 of 7 days a week if it's filtered weekly, or 20 of 30 days if it's filtered monthly, 60 of 90 days. So roughly 70% of the time active on the platform.
Yeah, I'd say just make an or statement and do all of those instead of allowing
Yeah,
you to drop down
yeah,
and filter one or the other. Make it more inclusive so that if they fall into 10 days daily, any of those, an or
yeah.
statement
It'll
would
still
count.
show. Okay, cool. That's a great idea. Easy. I will change that. Okay, cool. Also, system error. I was doing some like just tracking of what is making this,
Mhm.
and it it is rate error. Like
Anthropic's rate limit.
yeah, rate limit. Almost all of them is rate limit. And there was
And
also like
mostly on scheduled actions, right? Or are you seeing it on non-scheduled actions on actual chats?
I haven't done that deep of a dive. I
If
just
you're
tried.
looking in the Telegram chat, it should say what the endpoint is. And if it's /API/chat/generate, it is not a human chat. It is done automatically via scheduled actions or in the future, emails and other things. If it is /API/chat, that is a live human chatting in real time. I read through every single error right before this call. In my
Perfect.
opinion, they are all scheduled actions that are triggering the errors. Actual chats are not. And the two errors are Anthropic rate limit, like you mentioned, and email tool missing account email for scheduled actions.
Cool. Okay,
I think
awesome.
both of those are important to fix so that way we get more power users. Because I'm seeing Benji's email every single day in the scheduled actions, but I think every day it's getting thrown as an error because by the time we get to his, we've done 10 Sydney +1 at Recoup, and those are very long. And
Oh,
those get us up through our rate limit very quickly. So by the time we hit actual humans, scheduled actions, Sid has already used all of the tokens that Anthropic allows. I don't think that means Sid needs to delete his unless Sid is upset with how much he's been spending on scheduled actions. I think it's a sign that we should likely the two models that I have are either update us to AI SDK v5 and see if a gateway fixes it so that we're being relayed via proxy through Vercel, and hopefully Vercel is not limiting us, or Anthropic is just not scalable for people to build products on, in which case we switch to someone who's actually able to scale, like Google or OpenAI. Um,
yeah.
and we could even just do it for one because now we've got two different endpoints, one for chat and one for scheduled actions. And unless you've been seeing those errors inside of normal chats, they're just scheduled actions that are throwing these errors. So we
I
could just make scheduled actions a different model and then keep, if you're really liking Anthropic's, we're not even on Anthropic's latest model, but keep it on Anthropic's model that you like. Keep chat on one and put segment actions on or scheduled actions on a different one.
I want to table the answer until we go through the rest of this call and then just define what's next week.
Cool.
But it's a good thing to think about because yeah, that's the most consistent error. Um, the other thing I wanted to show you before we dive in is this email icon. Okay, so first of all, Eric is still our
Feeling it.
our power. He is the definition of a power user. Um, Again,
But
if you
not
feel,
showing up as a power user.
what'd you say?
But not showing up as a power user.
Showing up as a power user if we filter it correctly like that.
Oh, there
So
it is.
he does show up as a last 7-day power user. There he
Okay.
is, sent 60 messages, and here it is, 5 days active.
Nice.
So he is active, and we know it's really active because he only has one scheduled action. So it's not like he has 9 scheduled actions and is never actually using the like he's like using the app, which is
Is a
great.
scheduled action a daily action?
Let's click it and find out. It is
Daily at
analyze
9
today's
a.m.
Twitter trends.
So if it's really working, he should be active 7 days out of 7 from that one scheduled action if it's running every day. But maybe because of the error, it is not.
Yeah, true. We can. Yeah, that's a good point.
right? Like in your system, if the scheduled action was running every day at 9 a.m., it should say 7 days active here, right? Or are you doing additional filtering?
When you no, it should. It should. So, yeah, which means that some of them are not getting sent
because of the errors from either Anthrop. Is this one sending an email?
Yeah.
It's for either one of the two. I could check specifically what's happening in his, but his is either scheduled actions for some reason are missing the context of email, or Anthropic rate limit getting hit. One of those two is causing 2 out of the 7 days to not, which is getting him a little bit further out of more on the borderline of being a power user, and that's probably impacting others as well.
So let me pull this up while we're here because he sent me an email. So we've been going back and forth trying to get on a call with him. He's just really busy, which is all good. He wanted to book something this week, but then he ended up not being able to, whatever. But he sent me this email, which was, thanks for following up. I've been enjoying using Recoup to see what it can do. It has helped me find great potential brand partners. Nice. I'm about to head out of the country for 2 weeks. Is it cool if we chat over email for now? So we'll touch base on a call in 2 weeks. But he gave some things I would love to see in Recoup. So first one is less buggy, especially when trying to send emails directly from the chat. Number 2 is more fine-tuned control over the types of leads, brands, and collaborators. And then number 3 is the ability to edit an email draft made by Recoup without replying to the chat, but editing it directly. So those were his 3 requests as a power user. So I wanted to show you that before we dive into like what's been shipped, what's next, etc. And I'll forward this to you as well so you have it. Bam. All right. So I will stop sharing from there. And then is that a good place to move on to what's next, or do you want to chat about what he said, or do you want to where do you want to go next with this?
Keep going back to the numbers of last week. Unless we're done reflecting on last week, we set success metrics. Neither of the success metrics were hit. What did we learn based off of setting those metrics, building towards those metrics, and not hitting those metrics?
Do you want me to start, or you want to start?
Love for you to start.
Okay, cool. Number 1, we learned that it's really tough to build and ship and also hit metrics of business outcomes, which we anticipated last week. But with that being said, like the consideration for the user experience that Verbal sent when we gave him the task of like business outcome or user behavior outcome versus tickets outcome, I was so excited about, because like not only did he ship what he needed to ship, but he also shipped the user experience to like really put it in front of people's faces. And so I was really, and like went through and like sent like the whole user experience document, which I thought was awesome. So I was really like that was awesome to see. And like it was for me, it was less about the success, like hitting the metrics, and more about thinking, like just the thought exercise of what defines success when shipping, like user behavior or ticket shipped. So in my opinion, what I learned was shifting the success metric yielded wider, more deep thought about user behavior, how the feature will affect users, and how to like build the feature in order to affect user behavior, which I thought was awesome. What about you?
I agree with everything you said. I don't think I have anything additional to add. What needs to change as a result of what we've learned this week in terms of our quarterly goal of success metrics for new features?
I don't know. I mean, it's up to like it. I'll ask you the question of how did you feel not hitting the number? Does it? Yeah. How do you feel about not the measurement on a week to week? How do you feel?
Results are delayed. What I'm building needs to get tested. I'm putting out posts because Veerball shipped things that are trying to put it in front of people's faces, but the number didn't change. Like, it requires marketing. It requires having conversations with musicians. It requires even if you make it blaringly obvious in their face on the homepage, they're still not clicking the button. Or if they are, they're not going through the flow. They need a video showing another musician that they sit and watch. It's put in their face 10 times. Someone else manually holds their hand and does it. And then
Agreed.
after that, 5 of their friends do it because they trust the one person that went out of their way to get their hand held by us in a white glove service. And so this week I had to start thinking about the tweets, put out the tweets, do those marketing. Then musicians coming in my inbox and into my replies saying that they want an hour-long stream with me. Next week I get on stream with people. I manually do it with some of them. Each person I'm going to be on a call with is going to have a scheduled action at the end of it. So they're going to start getting daily emails and they're going to start becoming power users. But it's a lagging at least week behind when we set it. We set it last Friday. It's now this Friday. Next Friday, I expect to see a change based off of the calls I have in the coming week.
Got it. And I see what you're saying now about like how you're thinking through the full spectrum versus like how Verbal interpreted the deliverable. Um,
It requires sales and marketing. It requires people getting on calls with musicians and artists and managers.
yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying, which was not my intention. My intention was for the thought to push more about the thought uh, and ownership over user behavior from a UI UX standpoint, more so than a sales and marketing standpoint. Um, and so so how can I help? How can I help mitigate some of the time spent from non UI UX, like you actually having to do sales and marketing of the feature? Um, do you want to push those users to me to do those calls with? Do you want to uh, like I guess yeah? How can I help? Because I agree with what you're saying and like what I'm saying. Like even like you said, Verbal putting connect YouTube here. Um, it didn't necessarily move the needle. I will also say that like there's a huge blocker because of the Google uh, restriction, and so like when they do click it, they get like a big like don't do that, unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's also like a huge hurdle to get past. And I'm curious if like if people would connect. It's hard, I mean there's only the only time we'll be able to tell is once we get past that hurdle. But um, if people would connect, if it's front and center on their homepage, and if they just click and there's no like suspicious, you know, do not enter sign as well.
And how many of the people using the platform have YouTube accounts that are actively publishing videos? Is EF.Fun, EF.Studio using YouTube? Are the top people on our platform using YouTube? Is it just Steph and her clients, or is it other people using YouTube? How many of them actually have a? How many of the?
I see what you're saying. It's
And because the approval process took months. I don't know if we ever got approved on session with EJ from Mint Songs and OpenSea. So I get that that's a blocker in your mind. I think even in a shorter term, adding a Telegram notification on click of that button would be helpful for us to just see how many people are clicking, to not
to like
to
not
keep
fall.
our rating of how often is this button being used.
Yeah, because what I'm
as
gonna do
soon
is
without making us wait months for Google verification process and thinking once Google verifies, the floodgates are going to open, when in reality nobody's clicking the button.
I agree, and so yeah, adding a click, which I can add, I can add to the admin dashboard. I can kind of just track, like you said, are people click? Is there the block? Is the blocker the Google thing? Are people clicking it? And if not, I mean, whether they are or not, like I'm still, until we're verified, going to have to like get on a call with Steph and sit down and literally connect every single YouTube artist with her on the call. Sam, same thing. Like, so like that's like my next week kind of what I'm going to be focusing on is like getting on with like our most active users and connecting YouTube for them and setting up segmented actions with them, like, and kind of helping handhold everybody that is current users uh, to start using more of our features. Um, which then we should be able to correlate the amount of meetings that I book for next week with our current users to like uh, the additional segment actions and YouTube connections. Steph has 9 artists connected, so we should have 9 new connections. Sam has X amount of artists, uh, so I'll set those goals up for next week. And then I see what you're, and I guess, yeah, we have to figure out like, how can I help? I don't want you to feel like you have to do sales and marketing to hit your goals. I want you, like, that was not the intention of that fourth key result.
It's fine. I mean, if you see that as valuable, and like you say, it force functions us to think about it, like that's fine. Just know that there's 24 hours in a day. I have a backlog of 1 million projects that want to pay me more money for more of my time. And so the amount of time that I spend is like, I have 24 hours. So if I'm getting on calls with musicians, I'm not shipping code, and I'm not building tech. And so I have at least 3-hour-long calls set up next week with musicians based off of the decision that we have currently chosen for how devs, including myself, prioritize our time. And as a result, I recommend that we move slower and have fewer monthly goals, because devs need to spend more iterations trying to hit goals on end to end instead of just shipping tech.
Okay. Do you want to push those 3 calls to me so I can help
They're all
them?
Spanish speaking, and they're all my musicians. I don't think I can pass my musicians to you. The people that interact with me, I think they want to interact with me. I don't think they want to be pushed on down a funnel. Then they're going to feel like I'm selling
Yeah.
to them. I'm getting on a call because I want them to win. These are musicians that I genuinely care about, and it's synergistic for them to get on a call with me.
Okay. All right. So let's hold it until next week and then reflect after one more week uh, of the full process and see where we're at.
Okay. We've
All
passed
right.
the halfway mark. Jump into next week.
Yeah. Let's jump into what's shipped. What's next week?
I think there's still a lot more to ship on segments. So either I stay focused on segments or I pass segments over to Veerball. Veerball on YouTube, he's telling me that he's done and that he needs ideas for more tasks. So I would argue that his is done unless there's more things, but nobody's using YouTube. The number hasn't increased. So at this point, someone needs to get people to use YouTube, or we need to say that YouTube is done, and because nobody's trying it to be able to give us feedback. So either we need someone to actually use YouTube to be able to give us feedback, or we need to call this feature done without changing our numbers and having any change in user behavior from Beerball's last week of work. So let's start there. Is YouTube done? Is that wrapped up, or are there asks on the dev side for, or do you have, I'm assuming you don't have any feedback from YouTube, right?
I have no feedback from YouTube. I just sent out an email blast about the YouTube feature. I'm going to set up a bunch of calls next week to onboard people to the YouTube. So I think we're good with YouTube for now. And we're currently just waiting for a response back from Google, right? We've submitted everything we need
No,
to
someone
submit.
needs to submit. Someone needs to submit. Virbal told me last night. I asked him last night, if this is a priority, please ping me today so that I can do it. He has not pinged me yet to do it. I have a bunch of stuff to ship today on my own side. YouTube has not been my, so no, someone needs to submit YouTube. Next
Okay.
steps are someone needs to update the privacy link in the application. Someone needs to record a new video based off of the feedback that YouTube sent. Someone needs to click the submit button after reviewing to make sure that there's not other low-hanging fruits that they could deny us for.
Okay. So is that something Verbal can do, or is it something that only me and you can do?
If you trust Virbal and want to invite him into the Google account and you would like to give him that responsibility, he could potentially do it. It's going to require someone conversating with Virbal to see if he's comfortable, get him account access, etc.
Okay. What is your recommendation for YouTube?
Listen with the intent to understand and not to the mic's off.
We pick someone to be responsible for YouTube submission if this is an important thing and make that their top priority, and they do whatever they need to do in order to get it submitted. Don't make YouTube submission a part of a bigger goal. It didn't happen this week, so make it the highest goal so that way whoever's responsible for it does it and does it well. Or say that it's not important and move us on to the other things.
Okay. Can you forward me all the YouTube stuff? I can see if I can do it this week.
I think you got the email and you forwarded it to me.
Okay, so I have everything that I need.
Do you want to try pulling up that email so that you can be on the same page of what the next step is?
Yeah,
So you're the one that gets YouTube comms, I think. Or maybe we both do in that shared inbox.
Let me share. Oh, where am I? I don't want to be in sent. I want to be in inbox. I want to be in. What is it from? It's from.
Recoupable.
Wait, say it again.
Shared at Recoupable.
Oh, wait, no, hold on. It was from. In order to go to the shared, I need to go out of this. Give me a sec. I'll find it later. I don't need to. We don't need to do this right now. Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen. I'll put that on my list to do for next week. All right, so that's on my list for next week. Let's move on from YouTube until we get feedback from users and we hear anything back from Google after I submit. YouTube. How are you feeling about segments? You said it still needs to be complete.
I need people to give me feedback on how they're feeling about it. You gave me feedback on Create Artist needs to include the ability to make segments. The checklist that is shown on the segments, I'll share the feedback that I had summarized from what you gave me. So it's been delivered and now it needs people to test it. I've had one feedback and it was from Sid Swift. And so that is here, create segments tool. If we're missing required info, automatically set it up. If someone tries to say create segments, and they don't have some of the data, the LLM should follow up and automatically, if we're missing an Instagram profile, search for it on the web and automatically connect it. If we have the Instagram profile but we're missing posts, automatically scrape the posts. If we have posts but we're missing fans, scrape the comments. If we have the comments but we're missing profile data, scrape all the fan profiles. All those should happen automatically if someone says create segments, the / segments page. The first item in that checkbox is accurately reading if an Instagram account's connected. The rest of those check items are not active, so it is a mid feature that is halfway done. And then create artist was a request by you that make sure segments are generated during artist setup. So those are at least 3 things that I still think need done based off of the feedback, but more feedback is going to help me understand how humans are using this feature. So far, I've been trying to unblock scheduled actions failing because my goal is to get more people with scheduled actions, because that gets people using it every day, even if they're not on the platform. And if scheduled actions are failing, they're not getting emails. I'm not getting points on the board. So before I'm even getting to this, I've spent most of this week trying different things to get segment or scheduled actions done and splitting my attention amongst making improvements to try to get scheduled actions in a stable place and also building out segments features and also trying to hire new devs and managing the devs that exist right now.
So it sounds like there's a lot on your plate. What do you want, or what do you think the okay, actually let me do this. Let me pull up the options that we have other than continuing segments. So I haven't added let me do Notion. I haven't added what's his name's feedback that he just sent. Actually, I can do that right now. One was email drafts in chat, or email edits in chat. The other one he said was errors when sending emails. And then the other one, I'll put this here. And then the other one was CRM management, I'll say, which was just being able to manage leads and what emails were sent and if they were opened, etc. So these 3 are requests from Eric, our top user, who is already a power user. These 3, or 4 actually, are requests from Sam, who is our second most active user. And actually, I'm going to put TikTok client down here because these 3 kind of go hand in hand with this release report. And then TikTok client was his other ask. And then we have fan segments, YouTube connection, which we'll put it here. Well, actually, I'm going to keep it here actually until we get to make it awesome, which would be just no Google alert. And so the question is, what should Verbal work on next week, and what do you want to work on next week? Mm-hmm. And out of all of this stuff, what is most exciting to you?
I am not interested in pursuing my emotional goals. We have put down Q3 goals of product market fit, include increased revenue, 45 survey users, 10 power users, one enterprise customer at 5K a month in success metrics for new features. My responsibility is 10 power users. I think the most impactful way to get to 10 power users is to have people set up daily actions. That way they are automatically using the product on a daily basis. And in order for that to happen, we're seeing that even the people that are trying to use the product most are only hitting 5 out of 7 because there are errors. So I think number 1 on that list is most important in order to hit the quarterly goals.
So let's focus on that. So let's focus on that. And then what do you think about Verbal?
Veerball either picks up segments where I have them and I focus exclusively on errors, or keep me as both scheduled actions and segments and pick something new off the list for Veerball.
I think that less is more. So you focus on errors and pass segments to Veerball. And then that way, by next week, we're getting much less errors. People are using more segments and scheduled actions, segment actions and scheduled actions.
Yeah. That seems like a great move. Get us to stability, because Eric's number 1 feedback is still buggy. And if people think that the product is buggy, they're going to go over to a product which is not buggy, like ChatGPT.
Correct. And then once everything's
go ahead.
I was going to say no, yeah. And once everything's smooth, it'll be a lot easier to build on top of. So I agree.
Correct. On errors, the biggest one are email errors and Anthropic rate limit errors. I think the most important one is the most persistent one, which is Anthropic's rate limit errors. We've been dealing with it at least an entire quarter, and it's still a persistent bug.
Yeah, I agree.
I am getting closer and closer to Anthropic is only interested in their enterprise customers. And if you're not an enterprise customer, they're doing everything in their power to make your experience worse, to force you to become an enterprise customer. The only way I'm going to not, because even if we're not hitting their rate limit error, I'm seeing their overloaded error, which just means they have too much demand and the system just isn't scaling to support the requests that are coming in. Even if we had an increased rate limit, I anticipate that we would still hit that, even if we switch to the gateway. If that error is true, which is what I've seen in GitHub, when it gets the overloaded error, that just means it's peak hours for using Claude and everybody is getting shutdown requests because they have not the money or the startup scalability to meet the demand that their system has. I don't know if Google and OpenAI are also having those. I have a feeling that they have more money and they have scaled their infra. I have not heard people hitting those errors, but maybe it's just because I'm not building on those APIs to see people hitting those errors. I think the biggest error being that we either switch to a different model, which is what I'm leaning towards. We're already using an outdated model from Anthropic. If we update to a newer model, it's going to be even more expensive. You're already saying that the LLM costs are high. There's better models that are at lower costs from Google and OpenAI. So I would recommend switching to that. If we choose not to and we want to, if you really like Anthropic, I'd love to hear what your reasoning is for wanting to stick with Anthropic. And if that's the case, I prioritize updating us to Chat SDK v5, which is an update that needs to be made at some point. The only question is when. And then getting us on a gateway to see if gateway fixes the overloaded error as well as the rate limit errors.
I vote simplest lift is switching models to
Correct.
something with a bigger token limit, right? So let's go to Gemini Lite, Gemini 2.5 Lite, or whatever the one with a million or two.
Yep.
Start there.
And it drops our cost by 100x as well. So
yeah.
What you're going to see is also going to extend our runway longer.
Yeah, start there. Yeah. No
That's the
brainers.
low. I agree.
Yeah.
Both chat and scheduled actions, or just scheduled actions for now?
Both.
Copy. That'll do that one. On the email side, I think I can get something out that'll fix it today. Right now, we're passing into the chat APIs an email param, and I believe if that's not passed, it doesn't have the email. But we're already passing their account ID, and if they pass the account ID, we already can get their email based off of that, unless they're a Farcaster sign up. So as long as they're not a Farcaster sign up, I'm going to get rid of the email param. That doesn't need to get passed. It's redundant to get passed, and it also leaks an email. So we'll just pass back the account ID, and from the account ID infer the email. And then the only question is for Farcaster humans, which it seems like quite a few of our scheduled actions setups are Farcaster humans. How are we sending them emails? For Farcaster users, do we start sending direct casts on Farcaster instead of emails? Do we try to get them to use an email? Are they still not important enough to prioritize? But going back to it, first one, switch the model to Gemini 2.5. Other, remove the email param from chat. Email, the to field. Those should get us a good, I think both of those are great simple iterations for me to do early on in the week. So that way we have more time to iterate, do multiple iterations throughout the week. I can get both of those done by Monday. And so getting both of those done by Monday means on Tuesday, we'll be able to see if there's still errors. If there are, iterate again by Wednesday. Wednesday iteration. If we do decide we need to still switch and update Chat SDK to V5, that should give us, we're starting with the lowest lift first. So I'll do the easiest thing, the lowest, simplest things first on Monday. And then if we need to do the bigger overhaul of V5, we can do that.
I like it. Simple.
I'm focused on error reduction.
And
so that way we can get more power
room.
users. Say again?
Yeah, and it gives you breathing room.
It gives me a bit of breathing room to focus more on hiring because we have a lot to do. And just Veerball is okay, but there's a lot of devs that want to join the pipeline, and I've just been not opening up the messages.
Because of from that one tweet, or from that one reel?
That one reel, yeah. Yeah, one person replied and said, this seems like a hiring issue if you're iterating so much on people. And I think that's also a good point, is I might not, maybe I don't have a high enough filter on people coming in. And maybe that is a result, is I'm spending too much time on too many people rather than trying. But I don't know how, that's a place where I lack, is I still don't know how to qualify devs without just seeing them ship. You can hack and mock your activity on GitHub. You can write whatever you want with an LLM to mock a resume. BS people can get on and talk my ear off on a call. In my opinion, I need to bring them in order to, my current understanding of reality is the best way for me to know is to bring them into the team as quickly as possible and get them to ship code. And if they can keep up, keep them on. And if they can't, get them out as fast as possible. A lot of the feedback on the Instagram video is people will need more time than a week. And it's not fair of you to assess that quickly. But I think if I'm letting people in the door that quickly, I also need to let them out the door that quickly. And I can't keep people in. There's a lot of people that want me to teach the meta code. There's a ton of people that want me to teach the meta code and to be patient with them. But I need devs that are going to raise the bar. And if they can't come in the door, like when Jad came in the door and he was eager and he did it. Beerball took a little bit more time, but you saw that he was already shipping things that we wanted to have shipped before we brought him in on Twitter. A lot of these people just show up in my Telegram and they're just like, hi, Sweetman, I want to work with you. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're a dev I let go of, change their Telegram handle, and then you're just back in for another round 2 of getting another like $90 out of me for a week of work. Or the same thing with Instagram. Like most of these people don't have profile pictures. I don't know if, even if they do have a profile, I don't know if you're a human or an LLM or what. And so, but I agree with that person. I think a lot of the comments have been helpful for me to reflect on my hiring process. And I agree, it is not my strength. My strength is shipping code, and I'm trying to learn how to hire along the way. I do definitely still have a lot to learn. And
when I was working with Spear, who did all the dev work before I met you for us, they had they just had like a specific like code task that they would like have all of their new people uh, do like before, and it was like a really hard, or at least as I said, it was like really hard, challenging, thing. It wasn't like directly into like the actual projects that they were working on, but it was like a specific repo and specific task that they like had everybody kind of, if you passed that, then you could get added into the the working stuff. Um, so I don't know if that's like enough, but I like you said, like there's also like people can kind of just like,
Ask an LLM.
yeah, but it's I think that might be okay. Like if you can ask an LLM, I guess it's more about like, I think it's interesting because what you said was like people need more than a week, but like it wasn't that like you're not willing to give people a week. It was that like they weren't willing to give you less.
Like take this. Let's bring a very specific example. Last week, Soul Crew comes in, he ships 4 after other devs weren't even able to ship 2. Some devs build me 40 hours and weren't able to ship 2. This dev came in and shipped 4 on his first week on the job. Seemed eager, picked up tasks as soon as I would put them in process. I'd put in a task, Soul Crew would reply. Within 30 minutes, he's picking up a task. This week, he comes in and he says, "Excuse me, I have a cold. Can I be off?" Give him a thumbs up. Day 2, "I'm still sick. Can I start tomorrow?" Thumbs up. Wednesday, "Can you give me tickets?" "Hey, there's a backlog full of tickets. You were picking them up before. You haven't shipped anything this week. Here's the requirements." Next day, "I'm going to work harder. There's some unexpected problems on my side that's hard to tell other people." "Hey, I'm hitting errors." Thursday, yesterday. I ask, "Okay, can you give me more info?" Today, Friday, no responses yesterday. Friday, I'm able to see this and I see the right here, norm private key to scalar. He's likely missing an environment variable for private key. Private key. This looks like missing private key. He's probably missing a private key and that's why it's failing. I send him a message at 11. And I say, based on the error, what do you think is causing this bug? I'm trying to see if he has the ability to read an error and debug, because so far he's spent the entire week being blocked. "Hey, because of this, I couldn't complete tickets. I'm sorry. Can you give me one more chance? Next week, I'm going to ship 20 tickets." I send him the requirements. No emotional response. "This is what we require, 2 per day, 11 per week. You have delivered 0 this week. You have now changed to probation status because you have 2 weeks of missing the goal before you're terminated. He's now on probation. If by next week he does not deliver 11, his contract gets terminated." Emotionally, I'm feeling this dev can't do anything. I also understand that he is probably sick. He's probably going through things on his side. He maybe is changing his entire schedule if he's working in India or China in order to align his hours with me. But he has this entire week, we haven't gotten more than one. We're spending 24 hours to iterate on one message and 0 code shipped. Is this a sign that I be patient and I spend more time with this dev? Or is this, do I get him out and open up the space for me to be talking with new devs? Because each message I'm having with him, I'm building and investing in this one single person. And this more time spent with him is less time spent on other people. And so on this specific person, they shipped 4 tickets the first week, more than the other devs who build me way more time. This week, spent out the entire week sick.
But did he bill you?
I didn't even ask him for him to invoice me, and he's also hasn't been online to reply to any of my things. Part of me wanted to reach out and be like, "Hey, send me your invoice," but I don't even think, unless he tells me that he's going to ask me to pay, he hasn't shipped anything. So right now it's just my time that's being spent on him and my attention. But it's not a lot. I'm trying to reduce it as much as possible, but even on this call, we are currently focusing time on this.
Yeah, that's tough. It's like he was
and
sick.
This is a lot of devs. Like they're very excited at first. They're like, "Oh yeah, I need work," and then they get one paycheck and $300 changes their life for a month, and then their enthusiasm to work goes down the next week because of the freedom I give, and I'm not a micromanager. They have space to not work, and then they try to not do work and bill me more hours, and then they get hit with, "Oh wow, Sweets is letting me go because I didn't have that fire under my ass that I had when I wasn't getting paid. Sweets gives me a ton of freedom to do this work, and so I'm going to take that freedom and try to abuse it on week 2, and then week 3 you're out the door because you jumped on the polar ends of the spectrum. you overinvest so much so that you get sick the next week because you changed your entire life. And then the following week, because you did that, you underdeliver. And if you bill me, you overbill me. And then you jump from polarity to polarity and you're out the door instead of consistently showing that you can deliver over time. That's what I need, is someone that can consistently show up and deliver. Doesn't need to be 4 tickets a day, but like Veerball shows up every day. He does the tickets. He works when he wants and he's gone. He gets paid on Friday. He's happy with it. Does he work other jobs? I don't know. I don't care. He does good work.
Yeah.
What do I need to learn from this is the question. How do I get better at hiring, maintaining, and iterating on talent such that I'm not generating negative karma for myself and I am building a stable team that is able to grow over time, if that is the goal, which that intrinsically feels like the goal. It could also not be the goal, and we're doing exactly as we should, scaling up and scaling down as very flexibly and fast, unlike other teams like Base that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars hiring devs, and then those devs go on vacation and they're vibe coding from a ski lift, and Base is a half-baked app that they just shipped out the door with Gary Vee and Wall Street Journal featuring it, and it's still not fully complete. And they're spending way more on devs than we are. And so the fact that we're iterating this fast might be I don't know what it takes to build a good team. We're in the position that we're at right now, and this is me trying to figure out how to hire.
You know what this sounds like, Sweets? It sounds like this problem could be solved with one AI agent Slack communicator that like just does all of this back and forth for you. Like, and you step in when you need to, but like, and you review code when you need to, but like, this, it seems like a lot of the time is emotional and just typing of like, shift focus, answer this message, shift focus, look through this code, get pissed because this person's fucking an idiot, go back and like, I will also say that like Soul Cruise, like I'm a vibe coder and I could have figured out what the fucking issue was with not having an environment variable by just asking cursor. So like that's also like just like a what the fuck, like, but
low effort. Like he's not he's
yeah,
willing to be
have,
blocked. And I had another dev in my DM. Let me share one more. Let me share one more to give everybody a full view on what is in my inbox. This was June 26th, getting close to a month ago. Is this your GitHub? This is the first interaction I had with this person. I have no idea who they are. This is very normal. I get at least 2 of these a day. People that reach out, yup, noticed, yada, yada, yada. This is my GitHub. Cool, decent contribution. Here's the dev requirements doc. Please review. And if you're interested, let me know. July 1st. 15 days later, he says, when I'm out of work, I'm working on personal projects. I just give 100. Don't even reply. Next day, how are you? Text me when you're online. Thumbs up. I'm still waiting for him to tell me that he's interested to proceed with the pre-trial phase because I asked him very concretely, let me know. 2 weeks goes by and he just asks like, hey friend, how do you do? Hello, thumbs up. Are you using Slack for thumbs up? What does thumbs up mean? Yes. Great, then can you add me to your Slack workspace? I say, you still haven't followed instructions. You're not even clearly communicating. I can't hire devs who follow this. And then he says, I'm busy with other projects. And now he's making up excuses. And I'm just like, these guys, yeah.
Well, yeah, this is an obvious no. But that's crazy.
Obvious no. They're overcommitted. And so like a lot of these devs are out applying for multiple projects and they need money, but they're busy with other stuff right now that is not paying them well. So
yeah, that's crazy.
I need to improve. I agree. There's something. I agree with your idea of a Slack agent. The reason I've been working so hard on my dev requirements docs is because it's a one-stop doc that I can update. And if I can give this to an LLM, a dev can come in and chat with the LLM. And if the dev asks, where do I get more tickets? Here's the link to the linear. What are my requirements for the week? Here they are. At the end of the week, when I send in the devs channel this is what was delivered. I'm currently going to each of the devs and saying, you are either overperforming or underperforming, and you're being switched into probation status. That's something that the AI agent could be doing. So is that something that is worth me prioritizing next week? Or is that something that I give as a dev task for one of these devs that wants to prove themselves? I tell them to build this bot so that I don't have to build it. We've spent quite a bit of time. I think we're now over time just spending time talking about me and hiring. Is this a valuable use of our time? I know that we still haven't defined specifics for Veerbal on segments. Maybe we just give him the same thing. How do you want to, let's try to wrap up in 5 or 10 on what you want to focus the rest of this convo on.
I mean, next week, you're passing segments to Veerbal. So whatever you want him to do, like, just pass it to him. I'm cool with that. You have my few lists of segment stuff that we added. The other thing, he can also, if you want to push him to me to help define, if you need any help, like defining good segment names, or just like, helping mitigate some of the communication so that you can focus on what you got to do. I'm here to help, like, guide him from like here's what the users are going to want out of a segment, etc.
Okay.
Errors, I think, like, let's just go with the cheaper model with a bigger token context window and most likely the same or better output. It's kind of a no-brainer. And then next week I'm focused on onboarding our current users to our new features through meetings, emails, and some social channels. I also had a great meeting with Mike Karen from APG yesterday, where he was talking about what they're trying to do. And they're basically trying to do the same thing that Rostrum was trying to do, is build something themselves. So basically talks out with him. I'm going to jump back on with him next week to kind of see what they're building and etc. The interesting part of what he said something interesting when we were on the call, which was like, yo, what you built was really cool. It's obviously, better for like marketers. I'm sorry, he said it's obviously better for like independent musicians and managers. We're looking for something more customizable and bespoke. And I thought that was interesting, like framing, because I was like, no, like we can white label it, we can like customize your workspace, etc. Like, if you want to go down that route. So yeah, it just got me thinking about how we're framing things. But yeah, my goal next week is get more YouTube, get all of the top 5 users, YouTube's connected to all of their artists, and segments generated with their artists. So that's Carolyn, Steph, Sam, Eric, if he has a YouTube, and who's the last one?
You already said Sam.
What?
You already said Sam.
Yeah, Sam. I think it's like between Polar or Secondhand Talent is still fucking always running on top.
They're actively using it.
Yeah.
And they pay us, right?
They say again?
And they pay us, right?
Yeah. But yeah, that's something that we have to also think through. But yeah, so I'm going to focus on that next week. And that's it. I think we're good. Let's just keep it simple, short, simple, sweet. Segments, errors, get everything stabilized, And then I'm gonna try to clean up the API or the admin stuff because I realized that might be the reason why Supabase is so expensive because I'm making so many calls. Like every fucking time I'm pulling all messages from every table every time I refresh the page or change the time period.
Could be.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of try to simplify that stuff and then get that a little bit simpler.
You've done a great job managing it on your own. Built it from scratch. You manage it. It is what we use to track. It's 100% built and owned by you. You've done great with it.
Did you, if you get a chance, I don't know if you have or not, but to export user conversations and throw them in and have it and talk to the LLM about them?
I've not done that.
Highly recommend it. Really fucking fire. Great feature. I wish I could do it with a bot. Like I wish I could put Recoup on. I mean, I guess we could, but we don't have an easy way to do it. Just put like Recoup, like Excellencia did, on our admin, and then load it with our user conversations so that I can chat with it about our users.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad idea. All right. If you stuck around this,
go ahead.
Oh yeah, you did the first one. I'll take it home. If you stuck around this long, make sure you like and subscribe and follow us and go check out Recoup. And tune in next week when Sweets fires all of his devs.